NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte is about to speak before that NATO foreign ministers meeting in Brussels. We can go live to him now.
Then, of course, we will also discuss today spending. We have to spend more, not only because the US expects that, because they expect Europe to take its and pay its fair share. But also we have to spend more because we know the threat coming from Russia and from other adversaries is increasing. And that will be debated today. And here I think there is a clear expectation from the side of the US, but also a clear commitment yesterday that this alliance is here to stay for the generations to come. And we will discuss today the defense industrial base, how to produce more. We are not producing enough. And this is a collective problem we have from the US up to and including Turkey and including the whole of the European Union, Norway, UK. We have fantastic defense industries, but we are not producing enough. We are producing in 3 months an ammunition. No, I would say Russia is producing in 3 months an ammunition what the whole of the alliance is producing in a year. And this is simply not sustainable. We have to ramp up the defense industry production. So these issues will be on the table today in the Ministers of Defense meeting, and then afterwards also in the lunch we will have with Minister Umerov of Ukraine, where we discuss the relations between NATO and Ukraine. So thank you very much. Maybe a few questions. I can only do one question at a time. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Secretary Hack's rhetoric that we heard yesterday was in any way harmful to NATO? Just the way he talked about.
As I said, Secretary Hack said, but also what later came out of Washington, clearly were big announcements. And at the same time, this is how an alliance should be governed. We are an alliance of democracies. We need to debate, and also I see a clear convergence, as I said, that we want peace, that the peace has to be enduring, that we have to make sure that Ukraine is in the best possible position, and for the Europeans to step up in defense spending and collectively to step up the defense industrial production. So here there is a clear convergence.
Sure.
Yes.
It's clear that things have changed here. What direction is this alliance now going?
This alliance is a family. As Pete Hegseth says yesterday and so many others, it is there for generations to come. We are there to make sure that we have the best possible deterrence in place to fight off any adversary now and in the future. But it means that we have to get to a good deal in Ukraine. We have to ramp up defense spending. We have to ramp up defense industrial production. These are clear tasks we collectively have. We will debate them. We might not always agree immediately, but as always in the end, we come to common positions.
So you have said, your mantra has been, no decisions about Ukraine without Ukraine. Yet yesterday we saw Donald Trump having a phone call with President Putin without Ukraine. He's going to meet President Putin without Ukraine. This looks to many like the beginning of the betrayal of Ukraine.
What we have seen yesterday was the statements coming out of Washington, including, and you forget to mention that, his long phone call with President Zelensky. So we will see how this progresses from now on, step by step. Of course, it is crucial. We talk about Ukraine, that Ukraine is closely involved in everything happening about Ukraine.
The U.S. press corps. Thanks for doing this. Do you consider President Trump's phone call with Putin the beginning of peace negotiations?
It clearly gives that impression that it was a successful phone call. We all want peace in Ukraine. Obviously, we have to make sure that Ukraine is in the best possible position. It is crucial that when a peace deal is struck, that peace deal is enduring. That Putin knows that this is the end, that he can never again try to capture a piece of Ukraine. So that has to be part of those negotiations, and no doubt that is also on the mind of President Trump and the American team. And today and the coming days and the coming week, obviously, we will closely coordinate between allies. Final question, and then we'll meet again at the post-ministerial press conference. So, yes.
It's the best possible position for Ukraine. Would it be even stronger and better if things like the return of occupied territory and NATO membership would still be on the table?
Well, what I've said before, I believe we have to make sure that we concentrate on the big issues. And the one big issue, number one, is to make sure, and talks start, that Ukraine is in a position that Putin knows he has to come to the table. It is for him crucial to come to a deal on Ukraine, so Ukraine has has to be in a strong position. And again, as I said before, it is crucial that when a deal is struck, that deal will not unravel. We have seen in 2014 what happened with Minsk. We thought that deal was there to stay. It didn't. Putin simply continued trying to grab pieces of Ukraine. And then on 2022, he started the full onslaught late February 2022. We can never, ever have that again. So I'm absolutely pro-peace. I am pro-peace talks. Absolutely, but at the same time we have to make sure that what comes out of those talks is there to stay and that Ukraine then is safe. Thank you so much. We'll meet again later today.
Thank you so much.
And that was NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte speaking to reporters before the Defence Ministers' meeting in Brussels. And for more on this, we can bring in Yuriy Sak in Kyiv. He is an advisor at Ukraine's Ministry for Strategic Industries. Good morning, Yuriy, and thank you for joining us. Can I first ask you, those comments there by Mark Rutte, was there anything reassuring for Ukraine in them?
Good morning, Oliver. Many of the things that Mark Rutte has just said are very reassuring. First of all, it's the common understanding of the threats that we are all facing, not just Ukraine. Second of all, it's the continued commitment of the European partners and NATO alliance to making Ukraine strong and ensuring that Ukrainian in strong positions coming into these negotiations. Thirdly, and very importantly, we in Ukraine, we have not been sitting idly. We have been ramping up our military base, our defense industry production. We are now producing our own ammunition. We are producing a lot of different other weapon systems. And it is very important that Mark Rutte, and I sense that this is the shared confident belief among the European NATO allies, that everybody has to, step up their efforts in terms of their defense spendings and in terms of their defense industry production, because the threats are only growing bigger, and we all have to be prepared to, protect our values. Because I would like to stress that this is still about the largest war since the Second World War, about our protection of shared values. So this is what it's all about, primarily, about freedom, about democracy, about good and evil, about tyranny and democracy.
Now, with regard to that phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin yesterday, this went ahead without notifying Volodymyr Zelensky ahead of time. In fact, Donald Trump posted about it on his social media before even Zelensky knew about it. This seems to be going over the head of both Ukraine and its European allies. What is the attitude towards this in Kyiv?
We have learned in the last almost 3 years that, for example, in military operations, it is very important to achieve success. It is very important to have an element of surprise. So the fact that certain things are not revealed ahead of time is normal and probably smart, because in any negotiations to achieve your objectives, and here clearly we know from the 2 phone calls yesterday that the objective is to end the unprovoked aggressive war against Ukraine. So to achieve these objectives in negotiations, you have to be smart and strong. And, we have, we're quietly optimistic. We understand that this is just the beginning of what is likely to be long and complicated negotiating process. But, we have made it very clear, our president said it to President Trump very clearly, that, for us, it is important to achieve just peace. It's not just about ending war on any terms. And there are certain non-negotiable conditions for Ukraine and Ukrainians, such as our independence and our territorial integrity. And we fully understand that not all of these objectives can be achieved militarily. This is why it is important that these negotiations have finally started. So hopefully, from now on, the speculations will be over, those that have been circulating for quite some time now, and the work will begin, the work between the presidential teams, the work on the actual terms and conditions of the future agreement.
Now, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that it's unrealistic for Ukraine to win back all of the land it's lost since 2014, and that membership of NATO is off the table in any peace settlement. Now, this would be a major downgrade on Ukraine's stated aims during the war. And yet Volodymyr Zelensky suggests land could be traded for Kursk in Russia, part of which Ukraine holds. Is Ukraine, does it have a strong hand here?
First of all, Pete Hegseth also said very clearly in the same speech that the United States of America are interested in seeing a safe and prosperous Ukraine. And he also said in that same speech that Ukraine must receive robust, and this is direct quote, robust security guarantees from its partners. So while we are also realistic and we understand that, and I've already said that it will not be possible for us to achieve objectives of pre-2014 level by military means at this stage. But of course, our territorial integrity is in our constitution. And look, it is in the interest of every European nation and the United States of America as well to ensure that aggressions are not appeased, that aggressions are not allowed. And this is what Mark Rutte just said. So this must not be repeated again. So let's just hope that these negotiations will be productive. And, step by step, we just have to be patient and strong.
Thank you very much for that. Yuriy Sak in Kyiv, an advisor at Ukraine's Ministry for Strategic Industries.
Thank you.